Hey everyone, Reptile Sam here. I'm here with Sprout today, my snow corn snake, and we're going to talk to you today about humidity in your reptile tanks. So, different animals need different types of humidity and require different humidity levels. This goes for all types of reptiles, from your bearded dragons to your chameleons to geckos to snakes and even turtles and tortoises. So, let's start today by talking about bearded dragons. Bearded dragons do require some humidity despite being a desert animal. In fact, it's even okay to spray your bearded dragon's enclosure once a week or so. I usually try to keep Bosk's humidity right around 50 to 60%, which is actually higher than you might think it needs to be, but Bosk seems to have really good shedding cycles when her humidity is that high. Now, your leopard geckos don't require quite that high of a humidity content, but they do still require humidity. Sometimes if Edgar's humidity gets too high though, I try to find ways to dry it out a little bit, such as by giving him less water, so that way the water won't condense into the air and make his tank more humid than it needs to be. So animals like chameleons, which I do not own, but I know a little bit about, do require very high levels of humidity. And so with chameleons, they do really well in screen enclosures, which is kind of counterintuitive to the idea of having high humidity, but they need really good airflow. So with your chameleons, if you have a screen enclosure, you'll want some type of auto humidifier that'll auto mist their enclosure to keep their humidity up. However, if they are in a glass enclosure, you do need to make sure that their humidity stays high, but also that they have good airflow too, which can be a little bit trickier. Corn snakes, I believe, are one of the hardiest snakes, and I've had my corn snakes even do pretty well in low humidity apartment units. But corn snakes will really thrive around 60 to 70% humidity. And if you have a tubs or rack system, this is very easy to accomplish. Just give them a bowl of water and mist them occasionally with a spray bottle, and their humidity will be perfect for them. Now, if you have them in say a 20-gallon long tank where the air can escape the top, it can be a bit harder to keep your humidity up. And this is where substrate plays an important role. So in this type of enclosure, you want your corn snakes to have something like cocoa fiber bedding. I'm not a huge fan of Reptibark just because it gets so compressed the snakes can't really dig in it like they would like to, but that does hold humidity very well. But I would highly recommend cocoa fiber bedding, or even aspen bedding is probably the second best choice for humidity. So if you have a front opening enclosure with a screen, the same goes, but you want to have a humidity hide box. A humidity hide box is where you can take a plastic box or even like a plastic enclosure you buy at the store and put moss inside of it, particularly sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is really good for humidity levels and humidity hide boxes, and Herman will eventually be getting one when he needs that. But for now, Herman is thriving in a tub in my rack system. He actually had his first ever very perfect shed cycle today, which I was very happy about and inspired me to do this video, because his humidity levels are upwards of 80 to 90% right now. And I achieved that by putting a very large water dish in his tub, as well as spraying it daily, and using aspen bedding. So his humidity is doing really well right now, and if he ever needs to move to a bigger enclosure that has a screen front opening enclosure, he's going to have a hide box with sphagnum moss in it, as well as either aspen and or cocoa chip bedding or cocoa fiber bedding to really keep that humidity up in his enclosure. So Sprout usually has really good sheds, and she's rare in the fact that she will eat right before a shed and then shed as her skin just gets bigger with the mouse inside of her, and she'll have a good shed. So that's a majority of what I have to tell you about humidity levels for your reptiles. The biggest thing is that it is different for every animal. An animal like my sand boa, for example, Boba does not need very high humidity levels. I do keep a small dish of water in there if you've seen his enclosure in my other videos, and maybe I missed him less than once a week, and he seems fine. His sheds are always good, and he does well. He's also in the tub, so that helps as well. If you have a tub system and your humidity is too high, you can drill holes in the side, very small holes so your snake cannot escape, but these extra holes will help humidity escape. And like I said, if you have the reverse problem where you need a higher humidity and your humidity is just too low and your snake's not having good shed cycles, they're not eating well, and their skin looks really dry, you'll want to maybe change your substrate and or give them a hide box with moss inside of it. And like I said, I think I'll be doing that for Herman in his future. Snakes like tree boas and tree pythons also require high humidity as they're from the jungle. And snakes like false water cobras, they also require very high humidity content, especially in shed cycles. But with lizards like bearded dragons, they are okay with some humidity. Don't try to make their enclosure completely dry. It is good for your lizards to have some humidity as well. So if you notice your lizard having bad shed cycles or not able to shed very well, make sure they have enough water to drink and spray their enclosure a little bit. It won't hurt them. They'll be okay with it. I'm not an expert on tortoises or turtles or chameleons, but I'd be happy to try to help you out if you have questions with those, but I might not be an expert resource. If you do have questions about your humidity for any number of snakes, especially colubrids, I'd be happy to help you out. And I can give you some good feedback as well for other breeds too, like boas, constrictors, and I do have some information on pythons as well. But especially colubrids is where I find that I'm most knowledgeable. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram page at reptile.sam. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great one.